Imagine a conference room with 50 people, all of them calling out, waving bits of paper in the air, and amidst all that deafening din, somebody walks in. They stand completely still and they point a single laser beam at one tiny corner of the room. Suddenly, the bustle stops. Everyone turns and they look exactly where the light is pointing. Now, they don't look because the light was loud. They look because the light brought focus. In public forum debate, the summary speech is that exact laser beam. These absolutely critical 3 minutes are not just a time for the repetition of ideas or trying to remind the judge of every single argument so far. If you do that, you're just adding to the noise. True masters, they don't repeat, they collapse and weigh the round. To transition your communication from a fuzzy ball of arguments into a pristine, crystal clear summary, we will discuss the 4 pillars of a thundering summary speech. The art of collapsing. And this is how we separate the core battlefield from background noise. The line-by-line strike. This is the structural sequence by which you will defend your own territory while dismantling your opponents. Strategic weighing. This is how you prove that your arguments are more important than your opponents. And we're going to be looking at some key comparison scales. And finally, voting issues. This is how you deliver exact reasons for your victory straight to the judge's ballot. In reality, by the time you get round to that summary speech, the round and the judge's flow can be as crowded as a cave full of bats. Arguments are flapping and flying around everywhere. And the greatest mistake you can make right now is trying to extend all of your arguments. Try to cover everything and you win nothing. You just leave the judge flailing blindly in the dark. So master the collapse. And I don't mean fall over. It means deliberately abandon your weaker points and focus 100% of your energy on the light at the end of the tunnel, your absolute strongest arguments. And so for a real world example, imagine you're debating the motion the United States should rewild substantial tracts of land. In your constructive speech, you brought up 3 arguments: ecological restoration, ecotourism revenue, and soil quality improvement. But your opponents spent all their time and all their energy attacking the tourism and soil points. Now, in the summary, you drop the tourism, you drop the soil, you look right at the judge and you say, while they want to argue about hypothetical tourism metrics, let's focus on the absolute core of this round, the structural reversal of biodiversity loss. And there it is. You just collapsed the battlefield onto your home turf. Once you have chosen your battlefield, how do you actually structure the line-by-line clash? You should defend your case before you attack theirs. Think of it like gardening. If pests are attacking your primary harvest, you don't just add more seeds, you save your own crop first. First, tend to your own crop. Address the refutations the other team placed on your contentions. Bring up your pre-prepared blocks to patch the holes. Second, planting more seeds. Turn their case and drive your offensive refutations straight through their core contentions.
We turn this against them. Ecotourism generates $600 million annually.
And now let's talk about that magic ingredient which separates good debaters from great ones: weighing. Too many competitors assume that if they prove that their argument's true, then they win. But what if your opponent also proved that their argument is true? If both sides have standing arguments, then how does the judge actually choose? You must weigh. At this point, weighing is an absolute must. You have to comparatively analyze the impacts in order to prove why your case matters more than your opponent's does. Here are 3 common metrics you can use for weighing: magnitude, scope, probability. Magnitude: how big is the impact? Is it life and death, or is it a more minor impact? Scope: how widespread is the systemic change? Probability: how likely is the impact actually going to be? Because without probability, there is no real magnitude or scope. Let's use the rewilding motion as a real-world example. Your opponent has proven economic harm. Rewilding is going to cost millions and millions of dollars. And you have proven ecological benefits. Rewilding prevents massive biodiversity collapse. Now, you can't just say they're wrong about cost. You have to look at the judge and weigh. Judge, even if you accept their economic harm, our impact on biodiversity preservation completely outweighs on magnitude. A temporary loss of financial capital can be recovered, but the permanent extinction of a foundational keystone species cannot. Ecological survival is the prerequisite for economic activity. And that is masterclass weighing. You aren't just arguing, you're comparing. And so, the final 45 seconds of your summary is where the speech is sealed. This is where you introduce your voting issues. Abstract contentions, they don't win rounds. Clear, pre-weighed paths to victory do. Don't leave it up to the judge to figure out who won. You explicitly write the ballot for them. You stand up and you state, because our impacts completely outweigh on magnitude, there are two crystal clear issues in today's round that dictate an affirmative ballot. Voting issue 1, ecosystem collapse risk, the permanent protection of biodiversity. Voting issue 2, long-term economic resilience. Ecological stability is the bedrock of the economy. By framing the final moments of your speech around distinct voters, built on a foundation of solid weighing, you take the woolly mess of the round and you weave it into a neat decision matrix that makes voting for your side easy. And remember, winning a debate isn't about throwing out the most information. It's about being a designer who weighs what really matters and crafts clarity from chaos.